do relationships with avoidance and anxious attached work? Hi, I'm Amy and welcome to my channel. I'm a certified attachment style coach and I help anxious attachers break the cycle of avoidant and emotionally unavailable partners so that you can really thrive in your independence and prevent future heartbreak. And in today's video, I'm going to get into whether relationships between anxious, preoccupied individuals and avoidant individuals can actually work. And those of you that have followed me for a while will know that I was in a 7-year on and off again relationship with a dismissive avoidant. And if you're interested in what your attachment style is, I do have a free attachment style quiz in my bio. So I'm going to hazard a guess that you found this video because you're in a relationship with an avoidant or emotionally unavailable partner. And maybe you are at your tipping point where you can't think of a way to actually get through to this individual. Maybe you're feeling really ignored by your partner. Maybe you feel that there isn't any closeness or intimacy or real deep connection with that person. And there's a really good reason for this, and that's because avoidants are not typically great with connections that are not surface level. They're not great at fostering really deep connections. And this is something that's really high on an anxious attached needs. They crave close, intimate connection. So when these two partners get together, it can be quite uncomfortable. It might be great at first, but when the attachment is formed, both partners' attachment styles are triggered. The anxious attacher will try to pull closer. They get hypervigilant on their partner's distance, for example. They get hypervigilant on what their partner is doing, and they might focus more on that person and really neglect their own needs. So they will try subconsciously to bring this person closer to them. And on the other side of this, you've got the avoidant attacher who finds closeness really uncomfortable. So they feel their partner pulling them closer, and then they subconsciously start distancing themselves emotionally and pushing this person away. So on the face of it, that is what the anxious avoidance cycle is. So you've got a party that is pulling closer and a party that's pulling further away. So on the face of it, you can see how these relationships are marred with ups and downs, on and off. You can see how this cycle happens. And the ending to this cycle usually is either the anxious attacher gets sick of it and pulls away from the relationship completely and deals with their feelings and moves on. Or you have the avoidant attacher who will end the relationship, who will stonewall and really break off any kind of feelings they have for that person. And this is something that is quite widely described, and maybe any YouTube channels that you follow, it is widely discussed that this is the cycle. But can these relationships work? Now, a lot of this is just going to be my opinion on this, but I would say yes, it's not an impossibility. There is, of course, a possibility that this relationship could work. With both parties unhealed, no, not unless somebody is being incredibly inauthentic. Somebody is really, really suppressing what their needs are. So one party would have to completely abandon themselves in order to get this relationship to work. However, if it is that both parties want to heal, if both parties are aware of what their patterns are, then yes, of course the relationship can work, but not without true healing. There needs to be work around communication. There needs to be work around meeting each other's needs. There needs to be work around being authentic with each other and not being afraid to rock the boat. You've got to learn to listen to each other and take on board their best interests as your own equally and be in a partnership. Now, with anxious attachers who I predominantly work with, they're absolutely capable of healing. And if it is that you have this very same problem, I've helped clients the world over who are in these sorts of relationships. Some of them have partially healed their relationship. Some of them have decided to leave this relationship in the past and really work on themselves so that they can prevent this from happening in the future. And if you're interested in healing your attachment style, I've created a specific blueprint of the exact steps that I took to heal my attachment style from anxious to secure. And no, it doesn't have to take a long time at all. And if you want to know what my former clients have said, go on over to my community tab. I've got lots of testimonials there. I do have a few slots available this week for discovery calls, which you can email me. My link is in the bio. What is it that the anxious attacher can maybe do? Let's say you're in this relationship, neither of you have done any sort of healing on your attachment style. What can the anxious attacher do, or what can you do to try and help this along? The first thing that I would say is to reduce the importance of this person, or at least not make them more important than you are. And as a former anxious attacher, I completely get this. I completely understand that when you're in these sorts of relationships where it's on and off, up and down, it becomes addictive almost on a physical level, where when you're not around this person, you might well feel incredibly anxious. You might well pressure for communication or want to know what they're doing. But you can't make this person more important than you. And this was something that I found particularly difficult because I'd spent years really idolizing this person, really putting this person on a pedestal where I really did abandon what my own needs were. I wanted to make sure this person was happy so that they didn't leave me. And in conflict, if that person stonewalled me, I made that okay. I enabled that because I was so relieved when it was all over that I didn't address any of the issues. I didn't say what was okay and what wasn't okay for me. So you really do need to put yourself first here. What can you do today that makes you a priority? What are you going to do today to choose yourself? Because when you are doing this on a consistent basis, you're feeding your subconscious mind with the belief that you are a priority, that you choose you. Because at the moment, there is a big inequality in the relationship. It feels like you're always on the back foot, and it feels like they've always got one foot out of the door, which kind of gives them all of the power, or at least it feels that way in the relationship. So when you reduce the importance of that person and increase your own sense of importance, you are going to equal that out. And what this means is that you are going to automatically start to know what your boundaries are and what your yeses and nos are, because you're now prioritizing yourself. And what this does with the avoidant is it releases an incredible amount of pressure that they have to be there all of the time. So you will find once you do this, once you start living your own life and stop living your life for them, it really creates some space in the relationship for you to both enjoy it. I mean, with myself, towards the end of the relationship, I decided I wanted to qualify in teaching attachment styles. That was what my focus was. And that did relieve a lot of pressure in the relationship. It did mean that I wasn't constantly focusing on him or expecting something of him or needing something from him. Which brings me on to my next point, which is identifying what your needs are. And when I mention this to clients, it's often scoffed at because I think it's really, really minimized. And part of this is because as anxious attachers, we've grown up thinking that we shouldn't have needs, or our needs don't matter, or our needs are an inconvenience, which they absolutely are not. You are perfectly entitled to have needs in a relationship and for those needs to be met. So remove anything that says that you shouldn't have needs and identify what your needs in a relationship are. If you require a certain level of connection and certain level of presence with somebody, that is okay. You can ask for that. That person doesn't have to give it to you, but at least identify that, yes, I need that in a relationship. And when you can identify what your needs are and really go in on how can I meet these needs myself in a healthy way, and how can I ask for this need to be met with my partner? What I'm not saying is that my partner needs to meet this need 100%, otherwise I'm not going to be happy. You want to at least fill that void with something that isn't them. And two things are going to happen here. Number one is you're going to feel a lot less anxious about having this need met because you'll start to feel confident that you can meet this need yourself. It'll release the pressure off your avoidant partner to have to meet that need 100%. It is not unreasonable to expect a certain need from a partner. It's not unreasonable. What is unreasonable is expecting that person to meet 100% of your needs 100% of the time. But you can ask for your needs to be met, and that should be reciprocated. And what I found when I started to communicate my needs with the avoidant, yes, he did try to meet those needs, but the problem was in my relationship is that my ex-partner didn't want to heal. That didn't mean that after it ended I thought, well, I shouldn't have had all these needs. Maybe I was really unreasonable. When I look back, actually I was being perfectly reasonable. I wasn't really asking for a lot, and maybe you feel like this as well. Maybe you've asked your avoidant for more communication or for more intimacy or presence in conversation, and that seemed like a real inconvenience to that person. If that is the case, still express the need. Acknowledge that actually you do need presence in conversation. Most people do. But whether that person gives that to you or not is completely out of your control, which brings me to point 3, which is to relinquish any sort of control, consciously or subconsciously, to that person. You cannot control how other people feel, think, and act. And as anxious attachers, we really get into this cycle of trying to fix somebody or trying to make somebody else be different so that we can feel better. And this can be in really subtle ways, and there is no judgment ever on this channel because I have done this. I have tried to subtly manipulate to get a need met, but mainly that was because I didn't have the communication skills to actually communicate my need in a very clear way. And also I was with the wrong person, but that doesn't mean that nobody will be capable. So when you really do release all the control over that person, number one, you're going to feel relief from that. I know that letting go of somebody, even if you're still with them, releasing that can be quite anxiety inducing. However, you can't control somebody else, and also you don't have to. You don't have to hyper focus on what that person's doing or saying. Keep the focus on you. Keep the focus on what you need, and keep your attention on, is this dynamic healthy? And if it isn't, I'm going to talk to my partner about it. I'm going to clear up my side of the street. So I'm going to also take accountability for my part in this. So maybe I don't communicate my needs very well, or maybe I wait too long and then it's hands on hips demanding from the other person, which also isn't going to go down well with anybody. So practice how you're going to communicate that need. Practice clarity, practice compassion with the other person. Make it about you and ask for it and see what the response is. You're either going to get a, yeah, I can see why you need that. This is what I'm going to do. And you're going to vet to see if they show up for that. Or they're going to be, no, sorry, I really can't do that for you. In which case, yeah, you will need to reevaluate the situation, because imagine yourself 5 years down the line and that need's still not being met. And as anxious attachers, we often think, oh, but maybe they'll change. You can't change somebody. You can't control somebody. They are who they are. And as much as we would like to believe that somebody can change for us, or that I'm the one that can change them, that's so much effort. And it's all that time that you can be ploughing into yourself and into a relationship that actually fulfills you. So if it is that you want a relationship to work with an avoidant partner, yes, it is possible. However, it is going to take a lot of work on both parts. And I've been here where I've really dove into my own healing, hoping that the other person would sort of take a leaf out of my book. Or even if they did, it was often temporary. So unless your avoidant is actually wanting to heal, if they are actively taking steps towards that direction, then the likelihood of this relationship working out is slim, unless you want to completely abandon what your needs are. But on a positive note to that, there is someone out there that can meet your needs. There is someone out there who is going to respect what your wants and wishes, and somebody who is going to meet you where you are. And there is going to be equality in the relationship, because you deserve a relationship where you are treated equally to your partner. So I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, drop a comment below. I also have a 6-week self-study course becoming available soon, so subscribe to this channel for news on that, but I will see you next time.